Hi all, welcome back. In this video, we are going to discuss about the factory functions, constructor functions, and the differences between constructor function and a factory function. And lastly, we will discuss about the new operator. And if time permits, we will discuss a bonus point, that is the different ways of creating an object. Okay, let's get started. Guys, so I'm going to give you a scenario. You need to guess what way, like how will you approach that problem statement. For example, see, imagine you have to create objects like this. So each object will have a name and a platform and a method. So this name is a series name, web series name, and platform is like on which platform that particular series is available. Like this, you gotta create a list of objects, consider 100 objects. So how will you approach this problem? So don't say like you'll go with the object literal syntax like this and you will create 100 objects like this. So just pause for a second and think and come up with a solution. Yeah, I guess you guys got the solution, right? So if I'm guessing right, you will also think like me and you'll create a function, and that function will take some arguments and return a object, okay, whenever we call it, right? So if I guess correct, right, so you guys come up with a function like this. So this is the function name, which can take two, which accepts two params, like whenever we call, we'll pass two arguments, and we are returning an object with the properties name and platform and a method display info. So here, like, it's just a basic thing, right? So like taking inputs and creating an object and returning it. So this is actually a factory function. This is what I actually called factory function. So factory function is just like you got a factory here like this, and so from to this factory function we are giving inputs like arguments, and this factory function is providing us with objects whenever we call it. Okay, so that's the only basic thing it's happening, right? So like we understand what is a factory function, right? It's just a function which take inputs and it returns some objects whenever we call it. That's what factory function. Now let's understand what is a constructor function. So we have seen object literal syntax to create object and factory function to create objects. Next we are going to see like how to create an object with the help of constructor function. For example, if you take the same example, right, how to approach with the constructor function. This is the actual syntax. I'll explain each bit by bit. So here if you take, right, a constructor function is also the regular function, but a small difference is there. So the name of the constructor function will be in Pascal case. It also accepts just like regular function, it accepts arguments, and we don't have to, like, we'll prepare a object here, but we don't have to explicitly return an object from here. It is implicitly gets written behind the scenes, okay, whenever we call it. But whenever we call it, right, we have to use a new operator in front of the function call. Okay, now let's understand what is this new operator. Okay, so this new operator is there, right? So this is our factory function, right? This is clear. So we Pascal case, right? We did it with the Pascal case. So whenever we call this factory function, okay, just like a normal function, we'll call this factory function, but we add a new keyword. Because of adding this new keyword, what it will do is like, so we call this function, right? So it will create, whenever we add a new keyword in front of it and invoke the function, it will create an empty object, and along with that it will create this keyword as well. Okay, and that this will be point to that empty object. Okay, got it? So an empty object will be created and this will be created as well, that this will be pointed to that empty object. So here this dot name will point to this, actually appends this dot name to this function. Okay, like this. So all the properties and methods will be passed to this empty object with the help of this keyword. Now all the lines which are present in the factory function gets executed, right? At that time, behind the scenes, JavaScript will take care of, returning implicitly this to here. Okay, got it? Okay, let's understand it again. Okay, so in a just like a regular function, we created a JavaScript function, but name starts with the naming convention would be a Pascal case. Okay, so we created a Pascal case a function with a Pascal case name, and we are calling it with a new keyword. Because of calling a function with new keyword, what it will do is, whenever we call with a new keyword, it creates a empty object and this reference, and this will refer to this empty object in this factory function. So this dot name here is equals to name. That means we are assigning name property to this empty object and appending a value. After executing all the lines which are present in this function, right, JavaScript will implicitly return this reference to here, so that it will be assigned to this series 5 variable. Now the series 5 got created, right? It's an object. This object is called this constructor functions instance. This object is called constructor functions instance of the constructor function, and all these properties are there, right? These are all instance properties and instance methods. That's what it's happening. It's very simple, right? So let's write the code and execute that one as well. So see, for example, if we execute the same code, right, we created the function name taking 2 arguments, and we are assigning this dot name to name, this dot platform to platform, and we're writing the method as well. So when we are trying to execute it, right, the same thing is happening. Now you got it, right? So how a factory function is creating an object, and what new keyword is playing a role in this creation of objects and all. We understand the different ways of creating objects, but we need to understand the difference between the factory function and this constructor function. For example, if we we already discussed it, right? For example, if we take a factory function here and a constructor function here, and the parameters are naming convention. Naming convention will be camel case for factory function. If it is a constructor function, we should follow Pascal case. And new keyword is mandatory while calling the function. New keyword is mandatory for while invoking a constructor function, but it is not mandatory for factory function. When it comes to the return statement, right? So if it is a factory function, right, we should explicitly return it is mandatory to return statement. It is mandatory to return object from the factory function, but it is not mandatory to return a object from the constructor function, because it will be returned implicitly. Okay, so yeah, I think that's it. These are all the simple differences that you have to tell to your interviewer. Let's discuss the bonus thing, different ways of creating objects. For example, if you take the first one, right, as guys, as you already know, object literal syntax, and then comes the object constructor. So here, with the help of new keyword, we'll call the object constructor function. Okay, object constructor function, and it will create an empty object. To that we can add some properties and methods as well. At the same thing is we can use object.create method, and we can add some properties on top of it and methods as well. We got a factory function that we have already discussed, and constructor function, this one also we already discussed. And coming to the last one, the classes. So with the help of classes also, for example, there will be a class. Okay, we'll call this class with a new keyword again, and sending the params, arguments kind of stuff, and it will also create the instance from this class, and that instance is also an object. Yeah, that's it. I think you guys got some clear idea on what is a factory function and a constructor function, and you got the differences as well, right? So if you think you really got at least a fraction of knowledge from this video, hit a like button, and if you have any doubts or suggestions, just comment it down. Thank you. Bye bye.